live from Burbank, California. On lockdown, it's the Nighttime Show. With us, as always, our head writer and producer, Matt Walker. I'm the voice of the Nighttime Show, Mike Black. Our host with the most is Stephen Kramer Glickman, but our very special guest, star of so many movies that it looks like a list of the greatest movies of all time. Gremlins, Beverly Hills Cop, and you've seen him on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, Mr. Jonathan Banks. Wow. And now, our host, the man who puts Heisenberg blue all over his El Pollo Hermanos fried chicken, Mr. Stephen Kramer Glickman.
Very nice, Mike Black. Very nice.
Wow, subtle. I mean, the nuance in that introduction. Jeez, who would have thought?
I try and really keep it restrained.
I mean, were you that loud out of respect to my age, or what?
Wow. Oh, my God. Jonathan, seriously, it is an absolute honor to have you on the show. It's in some ways, it's better that we're doing it over the phone because you're a very intimidating actor, man. I mean, my God, dude. Like, every single thing. You look through your history, you've been playing tough guys since tough guys were tough, man. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, I'm right now, I got to tell you, I'm out in front of because my house burned down in the Malibu fire, so I'm renting a house. And some dude has parked his truck in my driveway. And I'm sitting out here. No, I'm sitting out here waiting for him. It's like, we're here. I'll park my car here.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you
so
don't
that's
want to
what
do that.
So we may be interrupted in the middle of this interview, but
God, I really wish there was a camera there to watch him realize whose space he's blocking right now.
Yeah, that's not great.
If it's not John Cena, he better watch out.
Yeah,
seriously. Holy God! Our friend Robert Hayes, he lost his house in the Malibu fires. I know that you guys worked together back in the day.
No, I talked to Bobby yesterday. Bobby's a good friend. Yeah, and L.A. County, because he's over in the county. All the good politicians that said they were going to do so much, is, to Bobby's knowledge, he said to me yesterday, he has no idea that anybody has even been issued a permit to rebuild. And it's a year and a half later?
Wow.
Yeah.
They should be ashamed of themselves.
They really should. That's unbelievable.
No, they should be ashamed. There's a lot of shame to go around in some of those homes that burned, but I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah. But
yeah, anyway, he's being patient. He's being Bobby.
Well,
I can tell you Bobby's. Listen, I'm going to tell you a real quick story about two. So it's 1988 and we're in Spain, and Bobby and I are doing a movie over there, and it's late at night, and we have been served adequately. And so it's 2:00 on a beautiful Spanish night on the Mediterranean in a town called Javia, and we have no ride home. So we decide we're going to walk back into town or to the hotel where we're staying. So we're walking along the road, and some guy who thinks it's funny comes off the road into the gravel and comes close to us.
Ooh.
I jump. It seems the normal thing to do.
Yeah.
Hayes stands there, and as the car just barely misses him, kicks the door as hard as he can. Now, wow. Bobby Hayes is this mild-mannered, The guy slams on the brakes and jumps out of the car, and Hayes goes for him and starts to run at him. This guy's eyes opened wide. He jumped back into the car and got away as fast as he could.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
So Hayes and I continue walking down the road. We walk across the street to the beach. With our clothes on, we walk straight into the Mediterranean as the sun is coming. And
oh my God.
That's so. Yes, I know Bobby Hayes.
I'm sure. Was this Honeymoon Academy?
Is that what it ended up being called? Originally, it had a better title. It was For Better or For Worse. but I think the guy who produced all the Police Academy movies wanted to
tie
make
it in somehow.
No, he wanted to lower the level to make sure that people knew it was really low life.
Brilliant. I love it.
Now you met Robert Hayes. Did you meet him on Airplane, or did you know him already before that?
Bobby and I became friends on that movie in Spain. I don't know if I met him on Airplane or not. I don't remember. No.
Yeah, no, I think that movie. Yeah, that's that's incredible. What an amazing thing. I'd love to go back with you just a little bit. Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
I grew up in Washington D.C. and in a place called Chilham Heights, and I had a single mom, and she would work all day and go to school at night, and eventually retired as a college professor. But she was a lot to live up to. She was she started out life at 15 because of the Great Depression. Her daddy died, and she started out in life as a housekeeper at a Methodist parsonage, and she retired as a college professor. So,
wow,
I had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
That's very cool.
How did you go? How did you get into acting? Was that something you started young, or how did that start out for you?
It's something I always wanted to do. I mean, from the time that little television screen, 12-inch or whatever it was, when I brought it into the house in 1955 or 54, I don't know. But as soon as the images were there, I thought, Jimmy Durante would get up and do this broad humor. But when he would walk out at the end of his show, there were those three floodlights that he'd walk into, out of the dark, into one and into the next. And the last one, he'd lift his hat and say, "Good night, Mrs. Calavesh, wherever you are." Yeah. And I was so little, but I thought all that big slapstick humor, and then all that pathos at the end, I thought, wow. I didn't know why, but I thought, I want to do that. I want to do that. Jackie Gleason, The Honeymooners. I mean, there were some really poignant moments within the Honeymooners where, Jackie was always getting it all wrong. But I've told this story before, but, I don't know if they did 30 some episodes. And I don't know if it was Pert Kelton or Meadows in the end, but there's one episode where they adopt a baby. And they go to the hospital, and Art Carney's standing there, and Trixie, and the priest, and the doctor, and they wheel the little baby out. And they say, "Here is your brand new baby, beautiful baby girl." And Gleason goes off. He goes, he was going to have a boy. He was going to have a boy. And they all kind of go out of the room crying, and Gleason is left alone with the baby and trying to explain to the baby, it's not your fault. And of course,
it's not going to work out.
And of course, what he does is fall in love with her immediately.
Yeah.
So they take the baby home, and there's a knock on the door, and the priest is standing there, and he says the mother's decided she wants the baby back. Oh. And Gleason goes nuts again, and his wife stands there and says, "But Ralph, what if it was ours?" Yeah. And the baby goes. And the two of them stand there and look at each other, and end of show. And that's a situation comedy?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That is amazing.
I remember seeing that as a kid, and again going, I want to do this. I just want to do this. And then it escalated to, Donald O'Connor and Make 'em Laugh and Singing in the Rain and Over the Couch and Up the Wall and trying to do flips. And I tried to do all that, destroyed my mother's couch trying to do it. But, yeah. And then moving forward, I mean, I think the next real huge effect was I was probably 16 or 17 and saw Zorba the Greek with Anthony Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody who just wanted to live life. And I thought, Christ on a crutch, do I want to be that guy? and so that's the beginning of it all.
Did you do live theater? Did you ever do any?
I
live
did.
Theater? Yeah.
I did, and but I mean, in high school, because I was a handful. My mom was always trying to tell me there was something better, but when I'd go out and play whatever sport I played poorly, I would look through the gym window, and that's where they rehearsed the plays, and that's where I thought, well, that's for the smart kids. But I wanted to do it so bad.
Yeah.
So finally, in my junior year, the woman, Phyllis Cartwright, who directed the plays from about, I don't know, 10, 15 yards away in the hall, and I was hanging out with some of my friends, and she went, "Thanks, you're a chicken." And I went, and they, I got hit in the arm, and people laughed and stuff. I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I've seen you look into that window for a long time. Why don't you audition for the junior class play?"
Wow, she called you out.
Yeah. She called me out, and I did audition, and we did Shaw's The Devil's Disciple, which no high school should ever do.
Oh my God!
That's awesome.
I got one of the leads in the play, and it finally all my mother's good work began to come into focus.
That's really cool that she noticed that, and found a way to get you involved.
Well, I would just stand there, I mean, especially after practice, and I just watch and watch and watch and watch. And, and by the way, this is back before calculators and stuff, and they were, a lot of these kids were good students and carrying slide rules in their pocket and stuff like that. And, and they couldn't have been, and I was, I was not of their group, and they could not have been more welcoming and gentle. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was very cool and lucky for me.
Now, did you when it came to after high school, did you go to school for acting, or did you kind of go?
I went to Indiana University, and they because they're misguided, they just a couple of years ago gave me an honorary doctorate. But
come on,
that's awesome.
You deserve it.
Yes, Dr. Banks.
Teach. I teach every once in a while, and I just did something online for them a couple nights ago. I owe a lot to Indiana University, a lot, and I mean, they took a lot of rough edges off. And again, it was I thought when I got there that I was in a resort. I mean, Indiana is a beautiful campus, and that is not an exaggeration. I thought I was in a resort. There were beautiful girls. There was nobody hitting me in the mouth. It was terrific.
Now, I read you were classmates with Kevin Kline there?
Yeah. We were both in the theater department. And Kevin would play, Prometheus, and I'd be the slug down under the rock.
Now, I mean,
I go out for a lot of those same parts nowadays.
Hey, real quick before we continue the show, I want to talk about a third-generation, family-run business that I am very proud to be working with. Sennheiser is the top-tier microphone company in the world, and we are so lucky that we are now recording our show using Sennheiser microphones and their headphones. It's awesome.
We're talking into Sennheiser MD42 microphones and using Sennheiser HD25 headphones, and these sound amazing.
I mean, listen to Mike Black's voice.
Listen to the rich and sumptuous soundscape that comes out of my voice.
Oh.
Every time I speak into a Sennheiser.
Absolutely. Go check out their microphones and their sound equipment over at Sennheiser.com. All right, let's get back to the show. Now, you have been playing Mike on Breaking Bad and then onto Better Call Saul for this is a long time now.
12 years or something?
Yeah, this is a long period of time. what has that been like for you to? I mean, because that show is, I mean, Better Call Saul is enormous. The finale of the first season is airing. I mean, of the season of the fifth season is airing next week. What has it been like for you to watch this character grow and help this character develop over such a great amount of time?
Just 1 second. Hold on. There's another truck coming up here. Anyway, how was it like? Now I got my mind on trucks.
We might get to hear someone beat up during this interview, which is nice.
Let's see you vamp through this one.
There might be gunplay.
No gunfire yet.
Didn't pull out the sniper.
All right, I'm back. What's it like to have played this long? I mean, my writers are, you can't be around people this long. Either you loathe each other or you become friends.
Yeah.
And we're dear friends. Now, I agree with everything that they give Mike sometimes, not always, but the thing I do know is that I'm always in safe hands, and wherever they're going to go with it, it's going to be interesting, and that's the case. And I'll be doing Mike's backstory. I mean, I guess any character, if you're invested in it, you're going to do the backstory forever. But Mike especially, they made Mike so rich.
They really did, yeah.
And it's just a great character.
When Breaking Bad ended, Mike had been he became a fan favorite character, Mike Ehrmantraut. He's only in the last 3-4 seasons of that show, right? But he comes in, becomes an important part of the show. And then I remember that they started talking about doing this show called Better Call Saul, and it was going to be featured, around Saul Goodman. And then the original talk was it was going to be a comedy, and every episode would be like he'd work on a case, and you'd see that week's case, and then it would move on. So what point did that shift, and did you get like a call from Vince Gilligan saying like, hey, by the way, we're going to make it a drama, and it's going to be basically about Saul Goodman, but it's also going to be about Mike Ehrmantraut just as much as it is about Saul?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't pay a lot of attention, or I don't, and I'm not being coy, but I don't. Once something's done, it's done, and I had nothing but good feelings about Breaking Bad, and it had been a wonderful experience. And it was Peter Gould that called me because Saul was Peter's idea, I think. That, and he said, Vince and I had talked one time. And I had the Mylar balloons in Breaking Bad, and I send them up to the power lines and then kill people. But but before that, I'd given my granddaughter 3 and told her mom there was a background artist that was playing her mother up there, and I said, there's your mom. Hurry up, she's waiting for you. And off she went. And it was a cold day, and Vince was directing the show in Albuquerque, and I went over to him and I said, that's my granddaughter. That's not my daughter. I said, whatever happened to Mike happened because of his son. And Vince, in his own inimitable style, went, yeah, well, yeah. and then we forgot about it. Breaking Bad ended and all that. And when I got the call from Peter, Peter said to me, do you remember when you talked about?
Yeah.
And
that's so cool.
Said, and I said, yeah. And of course, then you get the backstory on Mike's son and Mike's responsibility for his death. Yeah. So no, I never realized that it was just going to be a comedy. I think I've heard that before, and it's just, I just didn't pay much attention. I went in and did what I do.
And now, how physically demanding are some of the things they have you do on the show? Because, like, for example, last week's episode, you're out in the desert.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the show, and I'm like, this must be a nightmare to film.
Yeah. It looked brutal.
I don't recall. I think I'm right. It was never below 100 degrees during the day. And it was, it'd get up to 110. And,
oh, my God.
I mean, well, it's one of those things. I mean, there are one or two people you get lightheaded. You got to make sure that you're taking electrolytes and doing stuff like that. But no, and I'd give Vince a hard time all day long about how miserable it was, and it was, and I don't want him to know it, but I had a great time. I thought it was wonderful.
He's not listening.
What's more physically demanding is falling on my back at this age. It's one of those times. If I get an overzealous young stuntman and I'm fighting with him, and all of a sudden he brings my legs out from underneath me, I don't land as well as I used to.
Oh yeah,
you don't just pop back up.
You worked with our friend Matt Reedy at one point. Matt Reedy? You familiar with him?
I will if you just remind me.
He's a project. Oh God, I'm gonna have to pull the thing. But him and I worked on a project once. He's a big tough guy, and
Steven, you don't have to make people up to impress.
No. We were doing a shoot, and he had to do a pratfall onto a mat, and the director I think made him do 15 pratfalls.
Bullshit! That's what, dude, get your shot.
You're like, come on. What the fuck?
Yeah. Now the acting on Better Call Saul, the only word I can use to describe it is remarkable. Like the entire cast, everyone up and down from the tiniest character, everybody just does such a good job. And I have to say, you've been fantastic. You're nominated for an Emmy for playing this character 5 times as Mike Ehrmantraut, I believe, right?
I think, yeah.
And I have to say, there was a scene about 3 weeks ago with Rhea Seehorn playing Kim Wexler that I think was the finest acting I've ever seen in my entire life, where she was impersonating essentially her boss at Mesa Verde Bank, and she's like telling Jimmy about her day, and he makes her do it in his voice. And I saw that, and I was like, if they don't just give everyone on the show an Emmy, they should just not have Emmys anymore. Like, what's the point? What's the point? There is no better acting than this on that show. Like, and you're so good on that show. I have to say, I'm kissing your ass here a little bit, I guess, but you're fantastic, and I just want to say that. Let that be known. So.
Thank you. No, I mean, I noticed the other night. I mean, the guy who was playing the judge, and I mean, on and on and on. It's just all the supporting characters. There's so many good roles that is so well, and it's so well cast.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of wonderful people that you get to work with. I'd love if you have any insight into these people. If you could tell us maybe a little bit about what it's like.
I'll give you a Bobby Odenkirk story. Bobby and I were out in that desert. Yeah, Bobby and I out in that desert, and we sit down and we're under the tree when we first see the car coming, and out of nowhere comes this little black dog and lies down between us, and immediately the young people and people got water. They took her over to a truck, which was about 400 yards away, and put her in the shade, gave her a little this, a little that. Later in the day, here comes this dog again, and goes down between us because we're the only two sitting down in the desert. And so you got to, because we were at Tahajali on the Navajo reservation, and Tahajali is 800,000 acres, I think. Yeah. And you have to ask the council, the tribal council, to take anything out. Mm-hmm. And a couple of days later, and Bobby asked them, and a couple of days later, 3 days, they said okay. So takes the dog into town, goes to the vet, get the mites out of the ears, stuff like that, and the doctor says this dog's pregnant. And he said a couple of weeks, and he said probably 4 puppies. She's small. Well, a couple weeks went by, and here came 1 puppy, 2 puppies, 3 puppies, 4 puppies, 5 puppies, 6 puppies, 7 puppies, 8 puppies. 8 puppies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bobby found homes. Bobby and Rhea Seehorn was there. with birthing these things with oh geez, I'm gonna forget the woman's name, but there was a wonderful woman on the set, and I can't remember if she was a set medic or I can't remember. Anyway, she knew how to do it, so she was there.
Wow.
Found home for all these dogs.
That's
and
amazing.
I get photos. Patrick Fabian took two. Took Taj, his kids later named Lucky, and one of the puppies. And he sent me a picture a photo a couple days ago, and the puppy is just beautiful, and so is Mom, and she's regained her girlish figure, and she looks great.
I can't imagine a more appropriate name than Lucky for a desert dog baby that is adopted by TV producers. And stuff,
Yeah. And interestingly enough, that those dogs out in the desert, because they live a life on sand, that her splayed may not be the right word, but that's the image. Her feet were splayed from walking on sand all the time. Really big pads. Anyway, when Bobby took her into town, the first time she ever saw grass, she very gingerly, put her paw down on it because she'd never seen it before.
Wow.
And so so you asked me insightful about people. You want to know who Bobby Odenkirk is? That's Bobby Odenkirk.
Wow,
that's awesome.
That's incredible. I'd love to know what Vince Gilligan is like. What's
that miserable son of a bitch? Jeez. Oh my God! They don't you ever let him hear it. They don't get any better. He's as straightforward and right there, and there's no deceit in Vince. Vince is right up front.
So with this show, you've obviously played a lot of characters throughout your career, and you've done both comedy and drama. You're in this show, and everything is very serious. Do you feel an urge to go back to doing some funny parts at some point, or is this sort of like you're okay with being the tough guy and you're happy to do this for a while?
Well, somebody said to me as far as a challenge goes, somebody said to me the other night, they said, "Whoa, what Shakespeare have you done to that?" And I thought, and what would you like to revisit? I did Malvolio one time, and I don't think I did it as well as I would have liked to. Who's a total flop,
Yeah.
And I would love to do it again. Yeah, but right now, here we are all locked down and stuff with a guy's goddamn truck in my driveway, and things are okay. I'm fine.
Is your shooting schedule being delayed by this lockdown in any way, or is it sort of
not yet? We're supposed to not yet. We're supposed to go back in September, and and we'll see. We'll see.
I hope so. I can't wait another 2 years for another season like this last time.
Yeah. No. Yeah,
I know.
It's gotta come back. I know they were doing a big thing yesterday, going through all the issues that they're trying to work out, like how they're going to do craft service tables and things like that. Like they're trying to figure out, how to do crowd scenes and things like that. But they're gonna they'll get it working.
And I gotta say, I know it's not technically a comedy, but I have gotten big belly laughs just from your slow burns on characters that just clearly didn't know what the hell they were doing. It's magical when it's the right combination of you and another actor.
Well, it's like when you play off against Bob Odenkirk, who is a comedy genius. Like, I was a huge fan of his in the 90s with Mr. Show, with him and David Cross and things like that, and he's always been such just a funny guy. And then when the two of you play off one another and you're effectively acting as a straight man, your straight man role gets as many laughs as his funny man part.
Thanks.
Anytime I saw you in the parking booth, I was already halfway to laughing before anything even happened.
Well, before we wrap this interview up, we have there's a couple of projects and a couple of movies that we have to bring up.
I was like, how dare you wrap this up?
No, not yet. But we do have just a couple that we have to talk to you about that are significant. Mike Black and I recently went to the movie theater to watch Gremlins. Where they were playing it at the
it was like a
the
midnight
Chinese
movie anniversary sort of thing.
Yeah, they played it at the Chinese theater, and I got to tell you, the mom from the movie. I'm trying to pull what her name was. Frances Lee McCain. Yes.
Yeah.
They had her as a special guest to talk about her favorite parts in the movie. They brought her up in front of the entire audience, and they go, what was it like filming the movie? And she goes, I don't have any specific memories about it, but it sure was fun. And they go, well, I mean, is there like an anecdote about what it was like working with, Joe Dante? And she goes, you really should have called Joe for this. I mean, I do work and then I forget about it and I move on. And every single, it was like you could have gotten more memories from behind the scenes of Gremlins from a random guy on the street. Like, she did not care at all.
It was kind of great how much she didn't care.
It was so funny. She was so sweet.
But at the same time, she was having the time of her life.
Oh, she was having a great time. And she had brought her grandkids to come watch it. She loved it. They loved it. But, oh, my God, it was so funny. It was great.
It's the line from A Christmas Carol about Scrooge's funeral. If they serve lunch, I will go.
Absolutely.
What are your memories from that film?
Yeah, because you're so funny in that movie.
It's one of those things where, Brady, Scott Brady, who played the sheriff, and I was his deputy.
Yeah.
But if you go back to Scott Brady, and a lot of, the B-Westerns, for lack of a better term, but, there he was, and he was a leading man. And, Scott died shortly after Gremlins, and he had was walking around with one of those air packs so he could breathe. I think he had emphysema terribly.
Oh, wow.
But Scott was one of those guys who was from a Hollywood era where he was a brawler. They'd go into those bars on Sunset Boulevard, and somebody would. It didn't take, and your manhood was always at stake. Here, what did you say to me? God damn it! And I really liked his attitude, which was just terrible. But it was all bark, and just fun to be around. But I remember Joe. Joe was a kid. Joe was having a good time. Joe wore black high top tennis shoes and was in his element. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what did you think the first time you saw one of the Gremlins? Did you think this movie's going to be great or awful or what?
No, I didn't. I guess I was just open, and then I was just amazed with and puppetry is not the right word, but I don't know. I don't know if they only had 4 or 5 Gremlins or 6 or 7 Gremlins, but there weren't many.
Yeah.
And what they did with it, and that movie still holds up.
Oh, it
that
really
movie
does.
still holds up.
Yeah.
And no, that was just a pleasure to work on. And when my brother was on the set and on a warm summer evening, and I said, and he'd never been around it much, and he was standing out in the street. He said, "Hey, watch this. You're gonna enjoy this." And it was when, and he didn't know what was coming, and it's when the wheelchair flies out of the second story window.
Wow!
And that, I thought, that's as good a trip to the set as you're ever going to get.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah, that stair lift.
That's awesome.
Like, I think of that scene every time I see one of those commercials for a stair lift. Every time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That scene in the Phoebe Cates, the Santa Claus got stuck in the chimney and didn't die. It's just there's some great moments in that movie. It is terrific, and you're terrific in it.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up. You're somebody who's gotten to play. Sometimes you get the role of a lifetime. obviously,
Sure.
and that's something that you're certainly in now. But earlier, you had another thing that had to be a role of a lifetime, which was to appear on Star Trek: Deep Space Nine.
Oh my God, Matt!
Season 1.
Matt's a
Matt
real big
Walker.
Trekkie, and
Every time
any excuse.
he
Any
always finds
excuse.
a way to bring up Star Trek in
Trek.
some way. I'm so sorry.
Well, that was a fun role because it was, and the guy couldn't die.
Yeah.
And he was because of whatever he'd done, which I can't remember.
You were on a moon. You'd been
Yeah.
taken from a moon because you were in a war with your competing faction, and you two would kill each other over and over and over again because neither of you could actually die.
Matt was hoping you didn't know so that he could tell you all of that. He lives for it.
Thanks. Well, I really don't have much else to say about it. No, I really enjoyed that character in that, you think you're a badass. Well, here, we'll give you a badass. How about if you fight for eternity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Can you talk about one of my favorite movies? It's the comedy Armed and Dangerous with John Candy and Eugene Levy.
Yeah. Yeah. You want me to talk about what I remember from that was that, we were shooting downtown. John had gone in. It was late. And John had gone in to lie down for a while. And apparently, for whatever reason, somebody forgot to ever wake him up. So the sun came up the next day, and John walked out, and everybody was gone. But nobody told him to go home.
That's amazing.
You have in that movie, there's the union meeting, and one of my favorite lines of the entire movie is like they've all voiced their concerns, and you say, "It's your union. It's here to protect you. So shut up and sign the fucking forms." God, it's one of my favorite lines of all time.
Yeah, I've forgotten that one, but I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so before we wrap up, last credit we wanted to pull is, of course, Beverly Hills Cop. Now that is another. This is a legendary film, an amazing cast. Eddie Murphy, in his prime, just killing it. Even though it's been great seeing him back recently, he's still so talented, so cool. What was that set like? What was that movie like for you?
That was great. I mean, Marty Brest, the director, I think is a terrific director, but Eddie was very young and very smart, and this was my impression of Eddie because I did 48 Hours with him too. He really watched and he really listened. I mean, for all of what he does and goes off and the rant or whatever, he also was very aware of what was going on, and I liked it. I liked that. I don't know that humility is the right word, but he was going to learn. And that was my impression. And I think that's it.
Yeah, well, that's incredible. Well, Jonathan, it is such an honor to be able to chat with you, especially with the finale of this season coming up, and we're all so excited to watch it. So thanks for making the time to chat with us, and maybe at some point in the future we'll be able to get you to come out to do our big live show when we're allowed to do live shows again.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, the truck's still in the driveway, guys. I'm standing here waiting. I'm right here.
Oh, wow. Boy, do I feel bad for that dude. Yeah, seriously, he's in big trouble.
All right, guys.
Thank you,
Have
Jonathan.
a good day.
Thank you.
Be
You too.
safe.
Take care. Be safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, a quick thing I want to talk about, Mike Black. I think this is something that we really should talk about, and it's a company that was founded in 1983 in Tokyo, Japan. Of course, I'm talking about the Zoom Corporation.
Zoom.
Now, if it wasn't for Zoom, and Matt knows this, we would not be able to do our show. They make the best audio equipment in the world. Which one are we using right now?
We're recording onto a Zoom LiveTrack L8 right now, and when we go do our live events at conventions and stuff, we often use the Zoom H6, and they're both just fantastic pieces of equipment. You plug your microphones in, you plug your headphones in, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're a classically trained pianist or a run-and-gun filmmaker or a podcaster like us.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do a ton of podcasts, and I can tell by listening when they're using a Zoom and when they're not.
Yeah,
It's the mark of excellence.
It really is. Go check it. Go check out all their stuff over at zoom-na.com. That's zoom-na.com. Be professional, for God's sake. Zoom-na.com. All right. Okay, let's get back to the show.
All right, so that was Jonathan Banks.
Yeah, that was
interview.
So cool.
His neighbor is going to get killed.
He's going to shoot
somebody.
Yeah, he's going to murder that guy for sure.
He'll probably die. If he's lucky, he'll die of a heart attack when he sees whose driveway he's been blocking. If he's not lucky, shallow grave,
chained to a radiator
somewhere in Modesto.
I gotta give it up to Matt Walker for coming up with the idea to have Jonathan on the show because he came up with it literally just a couple days ago, and very smart of you, sir.
Yeah.
Because
these people,
it's
they're all
great,
on lockdown.
great time.
Yeah, like, nobody's working.
I know.
So
we got to
This is the time to do it.
If you are if you're listening to the podcast, let us know who else you would like to see on the show. Because everyone is in lockdown.
Shoot for the moon because nobody's working right now.
Yeah. I'll tell you who's on my list. Do you want to hear who's on my list?
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss. He's on my list.
Great.
Of someone that I'd love. Chuck Norris is on my list right now, and Sylvester Stallone. Those are the three that I'd like to try to.
I would throw Steven Seagal in there.
I don't think Steven Seagal is in.
Isn't he in Russia?
He is in.
He's in Russia.
I thought he moved like somewhere. He was like. He did that show where he was like an actual deputy for a sheriff in like Louisiana for a while.
Yeah.
And then he was in Russia for a while, and I don't know where he is now.
I can't imagine him moving that far away from Native American clothing. Like, he has to be able to access that.
He has to be able to access Native American clothing
perhaps
at all times.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's going earlier because the natives came over the land bridge from Asia, so he's just back to their Siberia or something.
There we go.
Mike Black, who would you like to see on the show?
Elvis Presley.
Okay.
I think would be great.
He would be great.
He's a real get.
Love it.
No, man, there's so many people. The one that I would love to have on here to talk to would be Lance Henriksen. Character actor from Aliens. The first guy to be killed by a Terminator, Alien, and Predator.
Holy shit.
Have there been others who've been killed by all three?
Bill Paxton, the late Bill Paxton.
Okay, so Bill Paxton was the second.
And
Bill Paxton's dead?
They had kind of a rivalry. Yes.
When did Bill Paxton die?
Like 5 years ago.
He sent you a note that he was going to do it.
Oh, my God. Oh, Paxton.
And by the way, Bill Paxton made a movie called Frailty that if you haven't seen is so good.
Oh, yeah. I remember that movie with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. And he wrote and directed that film. It was his first directorial effort. And I remember watching it on DVD or something, and it was like a movie that didn't do much in the theater.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I was like, how is this not considered one of the greatest horror films of all time?
It is excellent. Stephen, you should watch it tonight in honor of his passing.
In the dark.
5 years
Paxton,
ago.
Bill
In the dark at 1 a.m, you should watch that movie.
Okay.
You will shit your pants.
It can't be more terrifying than The Platform, which ruined 5 nights of sleep for me.
There's a movie called The Platform.
Have you seen The
No,
Platform?
what's it
It's
about?
on Netflix.
It's about Greg Louganis diving in the 1984 Olympics, and he hits his head on the platform.
Oh, it's not okay. No, that's not.
Oh,
what it is.
at first I thought Matt was kidding, and now it sounds awful.
No, The Platform is a Netflix movie where it's like all these people are on these different floors, and if you're on the top floor, if you're on like floor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those they have a platform full of food that comes down to you, and then you get to eat the food, and then you only have like 1 minute to eat, and then the platform moves to the lower level, and by the time it gets down to like level 40, there's like almost no food left.
Right.
And then there are 333 floors.
Oh, God.
Of prisoners, of like people in this prison.
Yeah.
And then every month you fall asleep, gas comes out of the vents, and you go to sleep, and they move you to a different floor. And so sometimes you're on floor 7, sometimes you're on floor 200. And the difference in the fucking absolute nightmare
Meal quality.
yeah, of like what's happening to people on those different floors is terrifying.
I like how Steven doesn't care about it being a prison or losing his freedom, but the meal quality.
The meals! It's about the meals. Anyways. I think it's a great time for us to.
You didn't ask me who I want to have on the show.
Yeah, who do you? Well, I know who you want on the show. Captain Kirk.
Yes.
Captain Kirk. Leonard Nimoy's ghost.
It is William Shatner and Patrick Stewart are the two number 1 and 2.
Yes,
Patrick Stewart, who is currently reading Shakespeare sonnets every day.
a sonnet every day
until this is over.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, a sonnet a day.
You know what
on his Instagram.
you know what our followers need to be checking out, if they're not already checking it out, which they should be, is the Mike Black Minute, which Mike Black is posting every single night.
Yeah.
These are sometimes very revealing and sometimes very hilarious.
And sometimes just stupid.
When we say revealing, we mean not physically revealing.
No.
Which would make you want to tune in.
Whole other demographic that tunes in for that.
I love these minutes, Mike Black. It is
Thank you so much for
necessary
even
thing. No, I think it's necessary. I think it's important, and
it's very important.
It's fun. It's fun to listen to. Also, if you need extra content, extra episodes of another podcast to be listening to, your other show.
Oh, I do the Power Pals.
Power Pals podcast, very fun. You can go back and listen to them talk about jerking each other off with.
It's basically nerdy and dirty is the simplest way we can put it.
Speaking of other podcasts, I should bring up the podcast that you and I did, Stephen.
Oh
Because
I want to talk about that too. Yeah,
I saw a post on Facebook yesterday by my friend Orlando, who posted a thing about
Orlando
this.
Bloom, your good pal.
Yes, my good friend. He posted a thing about a news story in New York about a man who killed his father and ate him. And then I posted a comment. I was like, I'm unavailable for this jury, but it sounds kind of close to the one I was on.
Right.
And they're like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I was like, you don't know. And I did a whole podcast on it. And that's a podcast I did with Steven called Juror Number 8 about my experiences as a member of a jury for a murder trial for a man who killed and dismembered and maybe ate his mother.
Wow. Yeah. And here's the thing is, I hate
true crime.
I hate true crime.
Yeah.
I do not enjoy listening to true crime podcasts or true crime stories.
And it makes it that much better.
And it's just Matt telling me the story and me hating every moment of it.
Yes.
So you should absolutely listen to
Matt
it.
trying to get Steven to throw up is basically.
I think I made it so he didn't sleep for a week.
Yeah, it definitely freaked me out, for sure.
Because we did it in 2 sessions, the recording. There's 5 episodes. And when we came back for the second session, he was already
white as a sheet.
Yeah, he was not ready to do it.
I was not ready for that. Anyways, guys, leave us some comments. Share, and if you know someone in your life that is a Better Call Saul fan, share this episode with them. Let them see it. We want people to really digest what an amazing interview that was with him.
Yeah.
So cool.
And if you haven't, look back at our previous episodes. Now that you have time to kill.
Yeah.
We have done some doozies. The one that I wish I had been part of was the Goodfellas fantasy camp that you guys had
at Paul Sorvino's
house.
Paul
Sorvino's house,
where he made us a pasta dinner, singing opera while he cooked for us. Awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a really good one.
Ed Asner.
A
room full of Emmys and knives.
Yeah, there's some in there that
Ethan Suplee.
Ethan Supplee's interview was insane.
Off the fucking hook, it was so good.
Yeah, even like episodes like when we recorded them, that I was like, oh God, I am so uncomfortable. Like the episode with Tom, what's his name? The guy that
Tom Hanks.
No.
No.
No. The one with the guy who was in Natural Born Killers and
Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore.
Yeah.
I left that interview so incredibly uncomfortable with everything that was happening, and I just recently went and re-listened to it, and my God, it's terrifying and fun.
He's fascinating.
Yeah, he is a fascinating
He's an
character.
nutcase.
Yeah. So check out the show, listen to the show, subscribe, leave us comments, share, let us know who you'd like to see on the show. If you want to follow us on the social media, Matt, where can people get you?
You can find links to everything at funnymatt.com, or if you are upset with me in any way, you can let me know at mattwalkersucks.com.
Love it. And Mike, where can people get you?
All social media at Mike Black Attack.
You can always get me at Stephen Glickman, S-T-P-H-E-N on Glickman, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the TikToks. What? What, that I'm pushing TikTok?
Like he has stock.
Really?
in it.
Oh, I'm pushing TikTok every day, buddy.
I
push
know.
TikTok every day. Yeah. Do you know how many followers I went up this week? 40,000.
40,000 followers on TikTok.
Up 40,000. I'm at 298,000 followers
Jesus
on TikTok
Christ.
right now. I posted a video an hour ago that has 4,704 views.
No.
Yesterday, I posted one that has 29,000 views.
How many views do you think you would get if you did one of those dances? If you do the ratchet bougie dance, how many views do you think you'd get?
I don't know, but I've been telling the Snoop Dogg story about me smoking weed with Snoop Dogg. I've told that fucking story on our podcast
tons of
twice.
times. Yeah.
I've told it on
Couple times.
Instagram. I've told it on Twitter. I've told it in threads. I've told it on Facebook. I've told it live.
Yes.
I did it on Ari Shafir's This Is Not Happening.
Yeah.
And no one
Cared.
gives a shit. And then I did it on TikTok, and it did
Now suddenly
2.7 million views. 2.7 million.
Now the
that's
world is
more than
listening.
everything I've ever posted on anything. Because that's just how fun. All these kids, that's where they all
the
are.
question
They're
is,
all on the TikToks.
When are
kids
you
are
going
on
to
the
do the
TikTok.
dance?
All right, I'll start learning a dance. I'm going to learn a dance and do a dance.
Yeah.
I
And
have
that'll
to
be the first of many.
I have to say
47 million views.
as a straight man, I missed both of your faces. I'm so happy to see friends
I
again.
am about to wipe everything
Gross.
doing because you touched it and gave it your cooties.
Yeah.
Good. Please do. Wipe me down. Wipe me down.
No,
'cause
no, you're going to stand on the
I
other
need
side
to
of the
be
room.
wiped. That sounded disgusting.
That is gross.
Please delete that. Thanks so much for listening to the Nighttime Show. We love you guys.
I
Good
forgot what
night.
our safe word is. Say it.
God. Oh no.
Barnacle, barnacle.
Oh!